Hello everybody. I'm having a great morning, waking up to the sounds of nature. I'm back in my tent studio again, and it's also nice to have a good internet connection so I can upload this as soon as I'm done. I may start doing some live videos, but frankly I prefer to do it this way. I make mistakes and I can correct them if I have it recorded. But if I'm live, you've got me live with all the mistakes. Okay. I've been watching some of the news articles around and some of the different feeds to get an idea of what's going on. We can't be far from getting out of here because they're about to go head to head with Christians. What they're trying to do, the things they're trying to pass in the way of laws, and God, I hope I don't overdo it on this video. We'll have to see. I'm going to be doing some research on a couple of the other networks to see if I can start figuring out how to use them properly. And we may be moving this content, at least part of it, to one of the other networks. I'm going to at least try to do everything in parallel. Now that I can upload fine, I'm going to be uploading 2 and 3 times to the different channels. I can't just put a link in. So anyhow, let's get into this message. One of the disturbing news articles I saw is that they're doing polls. You know, they always do polls to find out just how much they can get away with. Well, there was a poll about our Supreme Court and the UN. They wanted to know if it would be okay if the UN oversaw everything that was going on. And they got 48% want the UN to have authority to overturn the Supreme Court. I can't even begin to tell you how terrifying that is from a government point of view and from us. The UN, who is pro everything that's against the United States. We're the great Satan, according to the Muslims, and they control it, along with Russia and China. So our friends do not control the UN. And they come up with dozens of anti-Israeli rules every year. Of course, they're all ignored because we know the agenda of the UN. But if we give them permission, they've already tried this once before where we want to give them permission over treaties. We are a sovereign, and as many may not like, a Christian nation. If you give the UN a non-Christian organization, in fact an anti-Christian organization, you've just put the Antichrist in charge. So it's coming. We know what they want to do. They're very open and plain about it now. And if they get that, we're done. And the other thing is that since they own the media, they're lying about everything that they've got going on to make sure that they get the public behind them. Roe versus Wade didn't take rights away from women. It took away an illegal law. It should never have been passed in the first place. But nobody until now had the guts. But we could see the direction they were going in. Now it's up to the states, and people need to vote on it. There are states that abortion is legal. There are states that it's not. They need to get together and figure out a rule that would allow them to do it properly in the cases where it needs to be done. Now, I'm open to it in the cases of rape, incest, and medical conditions. But that would be it. A form of birth control? No. That needs to be restraint. And or, we had the drug rule, just say no. I know it's hard to do, but that or protection. But in this world of I'm going to do anything I want to do and nobody's going to tell me otherwise, they're going to continue down this path. And of course they're doing the same thing with gun laws. They want guns banned. Why? So that they can take over. The original assault rifle was a musket. And they had them for purposes that meant that the British were not going to come over here afterwards and take things back. And our government, if it were to get as bad as it is, couldn't force you to do anything. Although they're trying. I mentioned in my last video that they're doing things with a deceptive, sneaky approach to get things done. It's not good. Okay, so the propaganda engine. Currently, we do have the ability to choose God over the world, but they're trying to get that changed. We're told that we're supposed to follow the government, but we're also given examples where the disciples were arrested for preaching, and then God got them miraculously out of their jail cells, and when they went to look for him, they were back preaching again. And their answer was, well, yes, you have laws that you tell us that you can't do this, but we have a higher authority. We're going to do what God wants first. If it's a difference between God and government, you have to choose God. If it's not, if it's just, authoritarian type things where they're just telling you what to do, that isn't necessarily against God. So you really have to do it. But if it's against God, you got to do what God tells you. And let's see. We have to remain true to Christ in all this, because ultimately we're going to be pulled out of here. But right now we're restraining all this from happening. If we don't stay and hold our line, it's just going to overwhelm us, and we will suffer some consequences for it. Okay, and it looks like, the government authority around the world, the harlot, the great harlot that's out there, is slowly moving their way, but they're being held back. The four angels are holding back the four winds, which is a representation of holding back the onslaught that's going to come in here. As soon as they stop, you've seen how fast they do things when they want to do them. When they passed Obamacare, they had the document ready in a few days. They couldn't have typed that many pages in a few days. It was ready in the drawer. Just pull it out and hand it in. That's all they had to do, because they were planning on it. And everything else that they're planning on, they're ready for too. I saw in the news that our government sold our oil reserve, part of it anyway, to China. So we don't have as much reserve as we should, and we've given it to one of our enemies, but we're really tied to China financially, and they're trying to protect that, even though they would wipe us out in a second if they could. Now, we do economically help them, and what we just did was economical help. But we're going to come head to head over Taiwan eventually, and it's not going to be pretty. Okay, let's see, what else do I have here? They tried during COVID to shut churches down. They've banned the Bible in schools. They're doing everything they can to get us out of here, to remove us or make us insignificant. And they've burned the Bibles many times throughout history. I'm actually believing that maybe they're going to try to find another way around that, at least short term. King James had the Bible rewritten because he wanted to have an affair. And that's why we got the King James Bible. Now, it's not bad now. They've fixed his stuff. And I prefer the New King James. So it's a good Bible now, but for the time then, it allowed him to continue having his affair. And he, of course, got together with the Pope. And they worked things out, and the bishops, and everybody were all involved in all this. It was a government religion. And we're going to go back to that. They're heading for it right now. And I would expect that there's probably either already written or they're in the process of rewriting the Bible to allow them to do what they want to do. People are going to still, we've planted enough seeds that there's going to be enough people out there that want to hear from the Bible. So they're just going to rewrite it. There won't be any Christian preachers, so there'll be false preachers come up with the new narrative. They're probably already out there being trained if they're not already in other cult denominations And there are cult denominations out there now. Okay. Well, how do we behave during these times? When we can see the world literally going to hell in a handbasket, how do we behave? The same that we're supposed to behave when it's good. They can't stop God. They might be able to stop us, but if He protects us, they can't. We've got the two witnesses that are going to be here, that are going to be preaching in the street, and the government and the Antichrist is going to try to stop them, and they won't for their period of time. They're kind of the John the Baptist types as well. And eventually, God's going to show His superiority over the Antichrist and his team. He's going to let him kill them. They'll lie in the streets for 3 days. He won't let anybody touch them. And then they will just get up. And this will all be live coverage, because we've got around the world coverage now. The whole world's going to see them get up. And then they're going to be lifted into heaven so that the Antichrist can't kill them again. And they've tried stuff like that before. Remember when Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead? The religious authority heard about it, and they tried to plot how to kill him again. He died the first time of natural causes, but they were going to try to kill him, as if God couldn't just raise him again. They have no fear of God because they don't believe in him. And that's the way the world's going. Okay, so you want to see how we should behave? Take a look at Romans. Okay, I'm going to Romans 12:9. I'm going to read some of this, and then I've got a little commentary to read down here that's part of it. Let love be without hypocrisy. Abhor what is evil. Romans 12:9. Cling to what is good. Be kindly affectionate to one another with brotherly love. In honor, giving preference to one another. Not lagging in diligence. Fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. Rejoicing in hope. Patient in tribulation, which we're coming up to. Continuing steadfast in prayer, distributing to the needs of the saints, given to hospitality. Bless those who persecute you. What? We're to pray for our enemies. We're not to hold back. God doesn't have favorites. He wants everyone to be saved, even our enemies. Some will be saved. Many won't, but some will. And if you don't get involved, they won't be. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice and weep with those who weep. Be of the same mind towards one another. Do not set your mind on high things, but associate with the humble. Do not be wise in your own opinion. Repay no evil for evil. Don't return what you're getting if it's not good. If it is possible, as much depends on you, live peaceably with all men. Beloved, do not avenge yourselves, but rather give place to wrath, for it is written, vengeance is mine, and I will repay, says the Lord. Therefore, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him drink. For in so doing, you will heap coals of fire on their head. Okay, I'm not going to read it, but the next chapter talks about submitting to the government. Chapter 13. You might want to just read that. Okay, now this is the commentary that comes in my Bible, which is a New King James Bible. Some brands are exceedingly high quality. You know it's going to cost you a lot to get the backpack of that brand, but you know it's worth it. You're going to thank yourself in the long run. The same holds true of God's will. You could easily choose your will or the will of friends or the will of society. But those are low-end cut rate. Sorry, friends. They're break and fray and make you just have to come back around and start again. Only God's will is good and acceptable and perfect. Really, some may ask, trusting God's will seems difficult and sacrificial to me. Yes, but it actually is much easier than cleaning up the messes from choosing another will. When you renew your mind, you can see that God is the most effective guide to your daily habits, as well as choosing a job, choosing a mate, choosing time for your kids, choosing where you live and what to do. You cultivate both contentment and daily goodness. And daily goodness in trusting Him with all your heart. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. The world says, watch out for yourself. God says to do justly, love, mercy, walk humbly. And it gives a reference of Micah 6, 8. We know what's coming. God told us that so we wouldn't freak out. We also are to still behave and treat people the same way. Don't hate people. You can hate behavior, but don't hate people. Because people have a chance of changing behavior. The world tells them that Christians are bad, that we do things the wrong way, we shouldn't be followed. Prove the naysayers wrong by behaving good, by not reacting, and heap coals of fire on their head. Let God deal with it. If there's somebody trying to get at you, let God deal with it. I got a quick story. I was in a movie called Leisure Seeker. It was with Donald Sutherland and Helen Mirren. And they're playing an old couple who are basically dying. Donald Sutherland's character is getting Alzheimer's, and Helen Mirren's character is has terminal cancer. So they're getting in this RV, this old RV, and the one they used in the film was in bad shape. They'd have to go out and jump it sometimes to get it moving so they could use it in the scene. But this is a funny scene. I'm in a bunch of scenes in it, which maybe you can see me, maybe you can't. This one here, I should have been all over the place. In the scene, and this is how God kind of looks out for you. In the scene, there's a political rally in Marietta Square, Marietta, Georgia. It's a cute little square, and they set up a stage, and this was supposed to be a Trump rally. And I said a bad word, so hopefully they won't filter me for that. In any case, they pull into town. He gets out, wanders off with his Alzheimer's. She's doing some shopping or whatever, and he walks up to the Trump rally and gets right in the middle of it. Now, in real life, and their characters were lifelong Democrats. They wouldn't have been caught dead there. It's a funny scene in a very sad movie, so it had to be there to lift the spirits a little bit. But he's in there and he's cheering and, go Trump, whatever the chant was going on at the time. Okay, and I was dressed in my red, white, and blue outfit. I had a red, white, and blue cowboy hat, big wide tie. And at one point in time, Helen Mirren walks by and goes, "Oh, that's fantastic. Can I get your picture?" She takes my picture, which I thought was really cool. She was very, very nice. He was a little bit aloof, but still pleasant, but she was right there. She was eating with everybody, and just right out there, and when we have lunch. But anyhow, the story is the director liked my look, as well as Helen Mirren, and he kept putting me in key places. I don't know if it was Satan had come over the PA that was in charge of placing background. I don't know, or if I reminded her of her ex-husband. Whatever it was, she took a hate to me, just outright hate. Every time she saw that I was in a good position, she moved me. Now, I'm supposed to follow orders by the last person to give them, so she'd put me behind a tree, literally, where nobody could see me. And at one point, finally, the director came out after he just placed me right next to the principals in the scene, and I was going to get good camera time. And she came out, moved me. He comes back. "Where's the guy that I placed here? I told you to stand right here. What happened? Where'd you go?" I stuck my head out from behind the tree. "I'm over here, sir." What are you doing there? I placed you here. Well, your PA over there keeps moving me every time you place me. He said, just a minute. And he walks over, grabs the PA, and they walk off the set. I didn't see her the rest of the day. So sometimes you just have to do what you're supposed to do and be patient, and God will help. Now, that apparently didn't help me in that, because we'd filmed that like 2 or 3 times with me not there, and then we filmed it with me there. They must have taken one of the other cuts. You can see me kind of walking in the crowd with a red, white, and blue cowboy hat. That's it. If you're going to watch the movie, it's a personal movie, but it's a very sad movie. And it has a very sad ending, and that's all I'll say. But let God take care of things. Just go with the flow. If they tell you to outright do something like take the mark, obviously you say no. Or if they say, curse God, you don't have to do that. But let them have their way for a little bit. God will get into it. Let him, and you will be victorious. All right. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up and get this uploaded for tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm okay still. This is Tuesday, isn't it? I don't have a job, so I don't have to, other than this, and this isn't a job, so I don't always remember what day it is. Tomorrow's Wednesday. I got to go to my storage unit and get some stuff. I've got time to make Thursday's video. If I get set up in time and I've got my equipment set up in time, I'll be able to upload Friday's video. If Friday's video was late, it's because it's moving day. I don't have any problem now with I got equipment, so I can upload that. It's just I have to be able to get things set up. And what I'm going to do, and I'm hoping that God will help me in this, I haven't been to this camp in years, and we always camped in the primitive areas, which means no electricity, no water, so you had to pack everything in. But we had a troop load of Boy Scouts to do it, so that was okay. But I don't know the site, so there's enough availability. I'm going to drive there and then go in and try to sit with the Scoutmaster and see if not the Scoutmaster, what do you call them? We're at a state park, so the state ranger, that's it. And have him help me pick a site, because I don't know. And some sites, even like where I'm at, they've got sites that are like 12 by 12 or so in the trees, and they're designed specifically for camping. They got wood frames around them to hold the pea gravel in. They're not designed to pull the trailer into. And they're, I think, $25 a night. They got short trailer sites that you can back a trailer into, or a small RV. Those are, I think, $28 a night. I get my military discount, so for mine's like $20 a night. When there's a hotel or motel out there that wants to charge $130 to $180 for a motel, hotels are in the 200s. I can't beat this. And with my new tent, I'm living in luxury to a degree. And I love doing this, so it doesn't matter. I'd rather be here than in the 2 days that I spent down at the convention in a hotel room. I spent only the sleeping hours in the room. I'd rather be out. So I'm not going to pay. I didn't have to pay on these, but they were $130 a night for 8 hours. I'm not going to pay that. I sometimes have to if I can't find a campsite. But most of the time, I did also when I was on one job, because I got a room right by it, but I was getting paid 3 times what I normally get paid, so I paid for the room. But right now, everything's quiet, so I'm going to go further south, southwest, to FDR State Park. This is the park that he stayed in when he was getting his hot steam baths for his polio. He had polio and he ended up in a wheelchair. And eventually it started affecting his mental capacity, and we're thinking that his wife may have run the country along with the Congress for a little while. You do what you have to do. All right. Enjoy the rest of the week. I'm going to probably make a run to my storage unit today to do some swapping out of equipment, offload some of the stuff I don't need, and then I'll be ready tomorrow to just head straight to Is it tomorrow? No, I mean, tomorrow is Wednesday. I don't know what day it is. Thursday I'm moving. Isn't that great to have a situation where you don't know what day it is? I can open up my phone and tell you, but I'll find out in a couple of minutes. So Wednesday I'm going to the storage unit. Thursday I'm going to be moving. So you guys have a great rest of the week. Till we meet in the skies. God bless.